Since the release of the hit game Jurassic Park Operation Genesis in 2003, fans have been craving a new dinosaur park builder game, especially one based on the Jurassic Park franchise. That itch would finally be scratched when the game Jurassic World Evolution was released in 2018, managing to sell over 1 million copies in 5 weeks. The game was met with much praise, but also quite a bit of disappointment. Many felt that in a number of aspects it was inferior to its 15 years older predecessor. While post-launch updates and DLC have certainly improved on the base game, it does still have much to improve on. Given that highly credible leaks suggest that a sequel to the game is due to release as a tie-in for Jurassic World Dominion next year, I'd say that it's about time to look at everything the sequel should have to improve upon both JW and JPOG. My goal is to make each thing I talk about build off of each other and create a brand new, much more fun gameplay experience. First, we'll take a look at how to improve on the gameplay mechanics, then buildings, and then finish things off with the heart and soul of the franchise, the dinosaurs. The mechanics introduced here would provide for more depth and fun to the gameplay experience and can be built off of with buildings and dinosaurs. The maps in the next game need to be bigger. Small maps should at least be the size of a current medium-sized map, if not a large map. Have large maps be big enough for people to make a fantastic park filled with large enclosures with plenty of dinosaurs and buildings. If you're like me and you try to fit every dinosaur you unlock or is required for a mission on each island, you hate Penna. It's physically impossible to even get close to that and still have a good-looking or functioning park. Terrain tools need to be overhauled as it's one of Evolution's biggest problems. Make flattening and smoothing easier to do. Players need to be given the ability to make much taller and steeper edges to make enclosures more unique. Make a deep water tool that most dinosaurs actually swim in, with more dinosaurs than just the Spinosaurs liking water in their enclosure. And give us the ability to make our own waterfalls because that's just too cool of an opportunity to pass on. More kinds of scenery items need to be included. You had a perfect opportunity to have the paleobotany plants as placeable decoration to make enclosures much better to build and add more value to the Claire's Sanctuary DLC with models you already have. Storms, especially twisters on islands that have them, are too common. It feels like every 5 minutes a storm comes around and my raptors immediately break out of their concrete fencing. They should feel more rare and special. Give players an oh crap moment, especially with tornadoes. When players saw that a twister was on the weather forecast in Operation Genesis, they frantically prepared the best they could before things inevitably went south, and anxiously waited for it to finally arrive and release the tension building up. Twisters should be far more rare but more destructive to add that feeling to the game. More weather variety should also be added, like dense fog or heat waves. It seems like snow was being considered for the game. Strangely, power outages in Evolution don't really affect the game much. Only really happening when you heavily mismanage your divisions or are overly careless of your improved output upgrades. And even when they do happen, they really aren't the big deal at all. There should be more ways for outages to happen, and they should be bad when they do. Dinosaurs that test the fences often should be required to be kept in electrified fencing, and when the power goes out, they should immediately try to break out. Electrified fencing should deter your aggressive dinosaurs from breaking out until a storm or something knocks out the power of your raptor paddock, allowing them to climb over the fences and attack your guests, making the game feel more fun. It could also make progressing in the game more rewarding by giving the player more outage protection capabilities or backup power systems later in the game. Power could also have more effects. Maybe there could be a way of shutting off your alert system, stopping you from being able to see any emergencies that are taking place in your park. The concept of guest demographics should be brought back and improved upon for a better gameplay experience. This time around it won't be fun lovers like herbivores and thrill seekers like carnivores, mainstream does nothing, and dino nerds throw a fit if your enclosure has dinosaurs from smashing eras. Each dinosaur should have a specialization in one of your demographics. You can keep the names for fun lovers who like cute dinosaurs and thrill seekers who like cool dinosaurs, and a new demographic called nature enthusiasts? I don't know, I'm not very good at naming things. Who would like majestic dinosaurs. They would also apply to either buildings or items sold in buildings, making you actually think about what buildings you have in your park instead of just plopping down a restaurant, arcade, and clothes shop. Maybe fun lovers like Dino Bites and thrill seekers like Gigantosteak. These would provide more depth to the gameplay, having to make dinosaurs and buildings to please each audience to get a good park rating. Maybe some players will even have different sections dedicated to each audience, like the different areas on Sorna or Nublar North. It shouldn't be so intrusive that it dominates the gameplay. Just there enough that you think about making a new enclosure to satisfy a demographic at least once in your park's life. Each map should have a slightly different balance of demographics than each other. making each map feel more distinct and memorable, and making challenge mode more engaging than just monotonous. Demographics would improve the dynamics of guest need management, but I can think of a few more ways to build upon it. The security rating can be more important instead of just relying on having shelters around. This is mostly because I love the JPOG security cameras, where you can view through them and switch between them. A rest need could be interesting, where you need to make benches or rest areas for guests to relax, but not as cool as security cameras. The new terrain tool features and scenery items discussed in the map section would make enclosures actually fun to build and look at, but what enclosure is complete without a cool fence surrounding it? Fence variety should include light, medium, and heavy versions of cable and steel fencing, and 1 or 2 levels of concrete, all having electrified versions of them. A new fence type would be the Jurassic World invisible fencing, which was a system that deterred animals if it detected they were going past their perimeter. It would just be a simple gray line that deters dinosaurs, but would not work on highly stressed or just generally aggressive dinosaurs. Best put with easy to manage dinosaurs like a Drysaurus or something. Feeders should be improved. Include pig and cow feeders with different carnivores preferring either basic meat, goat, pigs, cows, or fish feeders. The amount of ways to view your dinosaurs needs improvement. Currently in the Jurassic World era, there's only the viewing gallery, viewing platform, Jurassic Tour, and gyrosphere. But let's be honest, why would you use the hamster ball when you can have the cool truck? Viewing domes and towers from Operation Genesis should be brought back, with domes allowing safe views from inside the enclosure, and towers having large circular radiuses compared to the platform's long, thin coverage. You could also bring in the log-type viewing area from T-Rex Kingdom that kind of sticks inside the enclosure with 2 viewing ports. As for tour rides, the Jurassic Park Explorer Safari should be worked into the Jurassic World era with a white and blue SUV vehicle. This allows for different niches or tiers of ground tour vehicle. Safaris are the weakest and specialize in outside the enclosure, multi-exhibit tours with a large viewing radius to accommodate. Jurassic tours/jungle treks are a bit sturdier and can handle the enclosures of some tougher dinos, but are still susceptible to being destroyed by some species. Gyrospheres are the strongest and go through pretty much any enclosure you'd reasonably want them to, with only a select few species being able to destroy them. Then we can introduce 2 water tours, the Cretaceous Cruise/River Adventure Ride, and a tougher actual boat tour that can go through enclosures. In Evolution, there is currently only one type of transport, the monorail, which is nice, but we could do with a bit more variety. The Jurassic World gondola lift will do very nicely. It could be slower and provide more viewing. One idea that I have that I really like is a Jeep transport, like how visitors got from the entrance to the visitor center in Jurassic Park by Jeep. Using the Ranger Jeep, it could have less viewing radius and go by much faster than the Safari, ensuring they have different roles. Maybe each demographic prefers one kind of transportation over the others. Parks can look very samey in Evolution due to there only being 10 types of amenity buildings. There should be more options to fulfill different guest needs, like a diner, grill, or ice cream shop for food, a cafe for drink, a jewelry store for shopping, a theater for fun, or a lodge for capacity. A nice touch would also be small images of the items to choose between in the building, so that we actually feel like we're selling something different rather than just picking the highest item. With a demographic system in place, players won't rely on the same 3 buildings anymore, with different items being better for each audience, encouraging more building variety in each park. While the dinosaurs in Evolution look amazing, for a series that took so much care to make their animals feel alive, the dinosaurs in Evolution can fall flat sometimes. The main culprit behind this feeling is the over-reliance on highly scripted animation theaters. I mean, some dinosaurs can't even run without having to suddenly stop and slightly turn in a different direction because of how the system is. While well made, they get old quickly due to them playing out the exact same way each time. De-emphasizing this system opens up opportunities like herd defense or pack hunting, and would even allow dinosaurs that are currently completely helpless to defend themselves to some extent. You could even have herbivores cause stampedes doing damage to the dinosaurs they run into. It also allows dinosaurs that currently can't fight each other because they don't have a set up kill animation to do so. Some argue that this system should be kept because the animations wouldn't line up, but they already don't line up correctly most of the time, and it would make the overall experience much better if they got rid of the system. In Operation Genesis, dinosaur death duels felt cool and special because they happened rarely, and this should be the same case in the next game. With dinosaurs able to interact more freely, It allows more interesting group dynamics. Dinosaurs should tend to stay in a general area around their alpha, with different species being more or less lenient on how close they are until threatened. Some dinosaurs should be able to attack and defend as a herd. Raptors should even be able to pounce and latch onto larger species of dinosaur. Dinosaurs can compete for dominance better and don't have to line up to each other to socialize. The social and population limits should be increased in general to allow larger herds and more dinosaurs in each enclosure as a general rule. I think the biggest population limit in evolution is 25, maybe up to around 30 to 35. Some dinosaurs need to have bigger social groups like Allosaurus, Baryonyx, or Tyrannosaurus. How can you have 2 Spinosaurs or Giganotosaurs but only 1 Allosaur or Tyrannosaur? Diseases should actually have an effect on dinosaurs other than just lowering the health bar. Things like the cold or flu can make dinosaurs sneeze or cough. Ticks can cause excessive scratching in your dinosaurs. Rabies should cause dinosaurs to be more aggressive and attack fences and other dinosaurs. Other symptoms of disease could include limping, excessive sleeping, or comas. This would make players actually want to care for their sick dinosaurs and want to help them. In evolution, dinosaurs of the same family tend to feel more or less the same. Dinosaur species should have a checklist of sorts that dictates behaviors in certain situations that add up to make more unique personalities or quirks that make players want to choose specific dinosaurs for their enclosure. Obviously, some of these would overlap with each other, but at least make an effort to make them feel a bit different between members of each family. More behaviors in evolution can be included to make dinosaurs feel more alive. Some dinosaurs can be lazier, while others are more active. In JPOG, at least to me, Pterosaurs feels quite active running around the place barking, definitely more than Pterosaurolophus. Aggressiveness should also depend on the dinosaur. Things like Velociraptor should be highly aggressive. In JPOG, Triceratops was the most aggressive herbivore, and it should be in this game too. This would go a long way to give dinosaurs more personality. This dictates how dinosaurs respond when threatened by dinosaurs that could attack them. These can include running away as a herd, stampeding, scattering in all different directions, challenging the threat, or just awkwardly avoiding them like the weird guy at the park. Obviously, each species feels threatened by different things. Maybe there's a carnivore that bullies things much smaller than itself but cowers away the instant anything that could slightly stand up for itself comes by. Maybe most medium carnivores are scared of large carnivores, but there's one that just doesn't care and walks right up to pick a fight with something twice its size. This is how a dinosaur copes when its needs aren't met. These could include panicking, going into a coma, attacking fences, or even attacking other dinosaurs. This is a bit different from the system in Operation Genesis. This is just a parameter for if a dinosaur species like to be around or follows around a certain family of dinosaur. For example, in the Lost World novel, it is mentioned that Pterosaurolophus enjoy being around herds of Apatosaurus for protection. Bring this in by having Pterosaurolophus herds like to be around sauropods and follow them around. Maybe Corythosaurus like to be around hadrosaurs, and Maiasaura don't have any friends and just like to do their own thing. A related mechanic would be that some carnivores wouldn't attack some herbivores as long as they have a reliable source of food. Like how in Jurassic World, Baryonyx, Suchomimus, and Metriacanthosaurus shared enclosures with herbivores. Maybe a species of small carnivore likes the company of a certain type of herbivore and won't attack them, or even a... This is about what types of dinosaur or even vehicle different dinosaurs attack. Some medium carnivores could attack small carnivores. Some could just ignore them, making for dynamic types of enclosures, encouraging players to experiment with what types of enclosures they can make. Baryonyx should attack safaris but not attack Jurassic tour trucks, while Suchomimus and Spinosaurus will attack both, so that players will want to use Baryonyx in their Jurassic tour ride. Give dinosaurs more quirks, like how Albertosaurus will often sniff the ground, or Acrocanthosaurus does that weird stretch thing. Velociraptors being able to climb fences or Troodons being venomous also fits into this category. Make more of this kind of thing. The Indominus camouflage gene is a really good idea that should be expanded upon. Maybe Carnotaurus could also be given the camo gene, or add a bioluminescence gene for the Pterosaurolophus, like the ones in Camp Cretaceous. Then you could also give this to something like Torosaurus to make their frills glow. As for pterosaurs, it seems likely to me that they'll keep with the pre-built enclosures. Disappointingly, aviaries would probably just be too difficult to have custom built. But there should be several sizes and styles of aviary, and the ability to tweak points on the inside of them to account for the species contained within. Pterosaurs should have plenty of animation so that it doesn't feel like they're just doing a big loop, including a feeding animation. Rangers should have to drive over to aviaries to restock their feeders so you feel like they're caring for them more. Aquatic species would probably be easier to create custom enclosures, but they could still end up going with pre-built tanks. If they go with custom, have custom tank walls in deeper water. This video is mostly about mechanics, not just what dinosaurs should be included, but here's a list of what dinosaurs probably should be in based on being canon to the franchise or just popularity.